Hey everybody, wanted to do a video on LB77 for Nebraska, the constitutional carry law, how it pertains to what's going to happen in the near future, also how it relates to less lethal self-defense. Um, excuse me. Wanted to start out by saying I am not a lawyer. Um, Although I have been trained as a paralegal and I'm very good with my legal research, none of this video should be taken as qualified legal advice. You need to contact an attorney for that. This is my interpretation of LB77 based on the research that I have done, and I encourage you to do research as well. Um, LB77 was signed into law, has not gone into effect yet, will go into effect September 10th, 2023. This covers constitutional carry or concealed carry of a firearm. You will no longer need a permit or to, excuse me, go through training in order to carry a concealed firearm. Um, Definition of a firearm is anything that uses exploding powder to emit a projectile. Now, there are ATF guidelines that govern antique firearms or replica antique firearms, anything produced prior to 1898 that will not fire modern ammunition or cannot be converted to fire modern ammunition. Nebraska does not recognize that. They consider those firearms and fall under the same category as a regular firearm. That honestly should be changed, in my opinion. As of September 10th, you will still have to have a purchase permit in order to purchase firearm. You have to get this from the sheriff's department. It costs $5. It is a background check. You have to have that. That permit is good for 3 years. That does not change. Also, when you go to purchase a firearm, you will still have to fill out an ATF form 4473 and go through that background check as well. If you are an owner of a firearm, a handgun, you will be able to conceal it, but you will also have to educate yourself on the places where you cannot carry concealed. This is places of worship, polling places, government buildings, schools. I'm not listing them all. You need to do your research. Liquor stores. It says any place that more than 50% of their income is made by the sale of liquor. Also, you cannot carry concealed if you have consumed alcohol. Stores, businesses that have a posted sign that say no firearms, you cannot carry in there as well. You are you do have the duty to notify a law enforcement officer or emergency service personnel if you are approached by them in a scenario where they are doing their duty. If you are, excuse me, if you are pulled over by an officer and you are carrying concealed, you need to notify them right away. Best way to do this: keep your hands at 10 and 2 on the steering wheel. Notify the officer, I have a concealed weapon. This is where it's at. They're usually very cool about this. In most cases, officers will say, don't reach for yours, and I won't reach for mine. But again, yeah. The Nebraska law prevents the carrying of weapons. I'm not just talking about firearms here. Carrying of weapons by a prohibited person. Prohibited person is anyone that's been convicted of a felony, anybody convicted of domestic violence, misdemeanor or felony within the past 7 years. Anybody that is subject to a no contact order or the other term escapes me, restraining order, that type of thing. However, the definition of deadly weapon in Nebraska is firearm, knife, and that goes further with the knife. Any knife that is has a blade longer than 3.5 inches. If you go to sporting goods store in Nebraska, most of the knives, the pocket knives that you see, have a blade less than 3.5 inches. Those, according to my research of the law, are perfectly fine to carry in your pocket. Deadly weapons, we have firearms, knives over 3.5 inches, and then brass knuckles. Brass knuckles, or anything that you would put on your knuckles to inflict bodily harm or deadly injury. Delving a little bit deeper, Lancaster County or Lincoln, Nebraska defines a dangerous weapon as a firearm, a stun gun, a knife, a switchblade knife, spring or gas projectile gun. This is your BB guns, your CO2 guns, your pepper ball guns, this type of stuff, or any other instrument used to cause death or bodily injury. That is a very broad spectrum. Again, that is Lincoln, that is Lancaster County, that is not Nebraska revised statute. The Nebraska revised statute that defines a deadly weapon is 28-1206. You can look that up. And going through this, those are the big three: the firearm, the knife over 3 inches, and brass knuckles. Now, this is supposedly open to interpretation. If you were caught with another type of weapon, it would be the burden of the court to determine whether or not that is a deadly weapon based on what you're using it for and the scenario involved. There are city and county laws that pertain to air guns, air rifles, that type of stuff. When it comes to LB77, I imagine that those will go away, because if you have a less lethal CO2 gun, if you have a pepper ball gun, those are weapons. They are not considered deadly weapons, but like I said, in Lincoln, Lancaster County, they are considered dangerous weapons. But they do not fall in the spectrum of firearms, knives over 3.5 inches, or brass knuckles. Your best course of action, in my opinion, and like I said, do not take this as qualified legal advice, contact an attorney if you want more information, is if you do not want to carry a firearm, you should still be able to carry a personal protection device, less lethal device like a CO2 gun or a pepper ball launcher, concealed on your person, as long as you are not engaging in a crime, you have not consumed alcohol, and you do not violate the regulations as to where you can carry a concealed handgun. Also, again, if you're engaged in business, I say business like being pulled over, being approached by law enforcement, emergency services, you do have the duty to notify them. Hey, I have this on my person, I have this in my vehicle, this is where it's at. You don't, if you're out in the world someplace and you see a cop, walking past, you don't have to, flag them down and say, hey, I got this on me. That's not what the law states. So, that being said, And as it pertains to prohibited person, again, because there are people that are a member of my Facebook group, Nebraska Less Lethal Defense Options. There are people that follow this page, or sorry, this YouTube channel, that are felons or prohibited people. This does not impact you in a way where you cannot own a CO2 gun or a pepper ball launcher or a stun gun or pepper spray. It goes back to the big three: firearms, knives over 3.5 inches, brass knuckles. And when I say knives over 3.5 inches, of course, you can have cutlery, you can have whatever you use to cook and whatever. You're just not going to want to carry it on you in public. that is a tool, not a weapon. So if you have any questions, please do your research. This is one of those things where there is a lot of gray area, but this is, again, my research, my opinion, based on my research of the law. Again, September 10th, 2023, this goes into effect. It's going to be interesting because there are a lot of other states that have constitutional carry. Nebraska being, I think, 26th or 27th, maybe 30th. I don't know. It's been a while since I looked into that part. I'm more interested in the legal ramifications of LB77 and what it means for people that do not carry firearms or could not own a firearm, but still have the right, and again, in my opinion, the unalienable, indefeasible right to protect oneself and one's family. So, that being said, go out, do your research. One more time, I am not a lawyer. This is my interpretation and my opinion of the legal research that I have done. Okay? So, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out to me. If you are looking for less lethal defense options, you can visit my Facebook page. You have to answer some questions in order to get in. Nebraska Less Lethal Defense Options. Okay. All right. Hope this clears some things up. Hopefully I didn't make it clear as mud. Have a great day.